Last one for this lesson. This one is about using trig identities to solve equations without a calculator. So first introduction, this is known as the Pythagorean identity. It's my favorite identity. Probably one you want to know. We want to start by using the Pythagorean identity to rewrite this right here. So what I'm going to do is minus cosine squared theta to both sides of my Pythagorean identity. So I get sine squared theta equals 1 minus cosine squared theta. Then I can take this 1 minus cosine squared, substitute it into my sine squared. So I've got 2 cosine theta minus 1 minus cosine squared theta, substitute that in, equals negative 2. Now, don't forget to distribute that negative. So we got 2 cosine of theta minus 1 plus cosine squared of theta equals negative 2. Next step, bring everything to one side and list from greatest to least. So cosine squared theta plus 2 cosine of theta plus 1 equals 0. Now think of this like this, x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then think of factoring it. So this top one would factor as x plus 1, x plus 1. So we would factor it as cosine of theta plus 1, cosine of theta plus 1. Or cosine of theta plus 1 squared. So far we've got that. I'm going to copy it down right up here. Cosine of theta plus 1 squared equals 0. Square root next. So I have cosine of theta plus 1 equals 0. Don't have to do plus or minus on that root because it's 0. You don't really have plus or minus 0. Subtract 1. So now I've got cosine of theta equals negative 1. And what this means is what angle gives a cosine value, or I'm going to change this to an x value because we know that cosines are x's, of negative 1. That is what this equation means. So I then look at my unit circle. That should be memorized. You should have that one memorized, absolutely. And try to find what angle gives a cosine value or an x value of negative 1. Well, if I have an x value of negative 1, the only place would be right there, which angle is pi. So theta equals pi would be the only place where that cosine is a negative 1. Now, you can use your calculator to verify this. Plug it back in. 2 cosine of pi minus sine squared of pi equals negative 2. Typing that in, just so you know, sine squared of pi is the same thing as sine of pi squared. So you can type that side into your calculator, and you should get negative 2. And there you go. That's all for today. You now have your 0.5 assignment to do.